Hey, everybody. Welcome to a pop up little special, I don't know what you want to call this discussion. Let's go with discussion of AB's, uh, AB's statement today through his attorney, which I will go through here in just a moment. We're going to go ahead and read the entire statement. We're not going to be here for a long, long time tonight, but I might open up the phone lines. Let's see how I'm feeling, and we will go forward from there. But for right now, I don't have the phone lines up. Let's go through the statement as best I can. This is the statement. By the way, what I'm about to cover. This is a statement from Sean Burstein, I believe is how you say his name. Sorry about the camera; it'll adjust in a second. Sorry. Um, from Sean Burstein, AB's attorney. The statement I'm about to go through. Settle in, boys and girls, for a discussion here. We're going to go through this whole thing. We're going to break it down, and I'm going to talk about it straight up. All right. First of all, this is AB's statement. All right. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to the Bucs, fans, and my teammates. The Bucs helped me return to productive football after I had difficulties that could have ended my career. We worked together to resolve those difficulties, and I will always appreciate that. Being part of a Super Bowl champion team and then a contender is a dream come true. I make mistakes. I'm working on myself, and I have positive influences around me. But one thing I do not do is shy away from playing hard on the field. No one can accuse me of not giving it my all every play. Because of my commitment to the game, I relented to pressure directly from my coach to play injured. Despite the pain, I suited up. The staff injected me with what I now know as was a powerful and sometimes dangerous painkiller that the NFLPA has warned against using, and I gave it my all for the team. I played until it was clear that I could not use my ankle to safely perform my playing responsibilities. On top of that, the pain was extreme. I took a seat on the sideline, and my coach came up to me, very upset, and shouted, "What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you?" I told him it's my ankle, but he knew that. It was well documented, and we had discussed it. He then ordered me to get on the field. I said, "Coach, I can't." He didn't call for medical attention. Instead, he shouted at me, "You're done," while he ran his finger across his throat. Coach was telling me that if I didn't play hurt, then I was done with the Bucs. I didn't quit. I was cut. I didn't walk away from my brothers. I was thrown out. Being fired on the sideline for having a painful injury was bad enough. Then came their spin. Coach denied on national television that he knew about my ankle. That's 100% inaccurate. Not only did he know I missed several games with the injury, he and I exchanged texts days before the game where he clearly acknowledged my injury. He obviously knew I was on the injury list. And the GM acknowledged after the game in text messages to my camp that I did tell coach about my ankle pain on Sunday. I told you this is rather lengthy. Settle in, boys and girls. I knew we were losing to the Jets, and that was frustrating for all of us. But I could not make football plays on that ankle. Yes, I walked off the field, but there's a major difference between launching from the line and taking hits compared to jogging off the field with a rush of emotions going through your mind. I'm reflecting on my reaction, but there was a trigger. The trigger was someone telling me that I'm not allowed to feel pain. I acknowledged my past, but my past does not make me a second-class citizen. My past does not forfeit my right to be heard when I'm in pain. First, they cut me. Now they cage me. Instead of asking how I felt or getting to the bottom of it, the team texted my camp promoting a totally fake, false narrative that I randomly acted out without any explanation. They even told us in writing, don't spin this any other way. I have stress. I have things I need to work on. But the worst part of this has been the Bucs' repeated effort to portray this as a random outburst. They are telling people that I first walked off, then I was cut. No, no, no. I was cut first, then I went home. They threw me out like an animal, and I refused to wear their brand on my body. So I took my jersey off. As part of their ongoing cover up, they are acting like I wasn't cut, and now demanding I see a doctor of their choice to examine my ankle. What they did not know until now is that on Monday morning, I had an urgent MRI on my ankle. It shows broken bone fragments stuck in my ankle. The ligament torn from the bone and the cartilage loss, which are beyond painful. You can see my bone bulging from the outside, but that must and can be repaired. The MRI has been read by 2 top orthopedic surgeons in New York City, including Dr. Martin O'Malley at Hospital for Special Surgery. Not realizing that I had already scheduled a surgery at HSS, the Bucs, quote, ordered, close quote, me under penalty of discipline and with a few hours notice to show up to a more junior doctor at HSS for another opinion. What a joke. They're playing like I wasn't cut, giving me a surprise attack order to show up to another doctor with no reasonable notice, and setting this whole thing up as a basis to cut me because what they did on Sunday was not legitimate. Sorry, GM. I already received a confirming opinion from the top doc at the hospital you ordered me to go to. I love Bucs fans. I really do. I love my teammates and everyone who showed me grace and believed in me. I gave the Bucs everything I had on the field. What the organization is doing now needs to get cleared up. I do not understand how people publicly claiming to be concerned about my mental health can do these things to me in private. Once my surgery is complete, I'll be back to 100% and looking forward to next season. Business going to be booming. Well, that's the entire thing, guys. Oh, no, sorry, there is a little bit more. First of all, I'd like to express my gratitude to Bucs fans and teammates. No, that is it. That's the whole thing, guys. All right, so I've covered the I believe the entire message. All right, there is so much to unpack. Guys. First of all, I'm just going to call bullshit. I'm going to call bullshit. And here's the deal. This is why I'm going to do it. And this is why I'm taking the approach I'm taking. Look, here's the thing that what this does reek of, every one of us has been in this situation where you do something, you act out, you do something, you get caught, you kind of get in trouble, you get caught, you realize, oh crap, what did I do? And then you start to take facts and you start trying to put them all in place and develop a narrative and create a whole story. If nothing else, you're just confusing things. You're throwing enough other facts in and enough other things in. Yeah, you see people do this all the time. When they're saying something that's not true, they keep repeating it and keep repeating it and keep repeating it. And the next thing you know, and guys, you've done this. You've ended up arguing with somebody about something that you know isn't true. Because they've just repeated it enough times, you finally have to deal with it. That's what's happening here, okay? He has now stated this The Buccaneers he's trying to force the Buccaneers to, in essence, address this narrative. Here's the problem. While he says he was just sitting on the sidelines, minding his own business, la-di-da, having had conversations with the coach and everything about his injury, and for some reason, Bruce Arians decided for some reason he was going to pick on poor old AB and make him play. No one else has ever accused him of such things, but this guy, doggone it, he's picking on him. He's just sitting there minding his own business, being his good little citizen self, good old AB, right? I'm just minding my own business, sitting on the sidelines. I'm hurting because I'm a good little Buck. And then that mean coach comes up to me and starts saying to me, you got to play. What's wrong with you? He didn't know anything was wrong with my ankle, he said. He knew I missed the last few games. Listen, name a player that doesn't go to the training staff when he's hurting. I'll wait. No, I actually won't, because that'd be a really boring show. Okay. The thing is this, guys. AB didn't go to the training staff and say there's a problem with his ankle. There was a confrontation on the sideline in full view of a lot of people. There was a confrontation on the sideline that involved Bruce Arians, that involved Mike Evans, that involved O.J. Howard. AB was not just sitting on the bench minding his own business, being a good little citizen. There was a confrontation with AB standing up, going at it with Bruce Arians. Now, guys, I know he wants to paint himself as good little AB. You ever really known him to do that? Now, let's talk about entire careers and entire lifetimes. Who's got the reputation of what? Bruce Arians, players coach, looking out for the players, always being a guy, all the players love him. But for some reason, he's going to treat AB bad. And in the meantime, you've got AB, whose history is what? Really? Seriously, who are you going to believe? Is there really a question? Now, let me tell you, this is how this works. Lawyers get involved. Things get confusing. The arguments start getting made. Things start getting misdirected. They got you looking over here when really what's going on was over here. This is how this works, guys. Sorry, it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a mess. But here's what I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to talk about football when it comes to all of this. As a Buccaneers fan, what do you need to be thinking about when it comes to all the stuff AB's saying, the fact that lawyers are going to be getting involved, accusations are being made at Jason Light and at Bruce Arians, and, meantime, rap songs are being dropped, and, ads are being put up for clothing lines and, Fit Not the Palace. I don't know. Anyway, the bottom line is this, guys. As a football team, here's a galvanizing moment. It's us against the world. It's us against the world. There's going to be an element of people who are going to believe whatever AB says. There's going to be a group of people who are going to say AB is the victim. It's going to happen. We're all going to have to deal with this, guys. It's going to happen. There's going to be an element and a group of people who are going to believe that AB is the victim. It doesn't matter what facts happen. It doesn't matter. Just like, and I'm going to go ahead and say this, just like in politics, some people are going to believe one side no matter what they say or do. And the other side, some people are going to believe the other side no matter what they say or do. But the bottom line is this. You've got a history from Coach Arians, from Jason Light, and from this organization. And you've got a history from AB. Who are you going to believe? Who are you going to believe? You're being given that choice. AB is saying, which one of us are you going to believe? And you know what? He knows there's an element that's going to believe him no matter what. And that's what he's marketing himself to. That's what he's banking on. He's spinning the story. He's trying to dig his way out. He's trying to figure out. He realized probably what he did. Probably his camp is telling him, dude, that looked horrible. That did not play like you think. And now he's going to change the narrative. It's what you do. You got to try to control the narrative. That's what you always do in a situation like this. You try to control the narrative. That's what this statement is. It's AB trying to control the narrative. It's AB telling his story. It doesn't matter how much bullshit that narrative is. That's where we're at. So whether you want to, no matter how you want to spin the story, no matter how you want to say it, here's the bottom line. AB is trying to control the narrative now because he lost control of the narrative immediately. And now you got stories coming out. One group saying they're trying to keep him from getting his bonuses, his incentives. You got another group saying they were trying to make him play because, even though his ankle hurts, and AB on the side going, I was just sitting there minding my own business, being a good little soldier. And that mean coach told me I had to go in and play. And I told him, but coach, my ankle hurts. And that mean coach said, go in and play anyway. What's wrong with you? Because, of course, we've got a long history of Bruce Arians being such a monster to players. They don't love him at all, right? You see on the sidelines, it's not a confrontation at the end with AB. It's AB, not between Bruce Arians and AB. It's AB talking to who? Mike Evans. Mike Evans saying, dude, stop. And finally just saying, I give up. I give up, and walking away. The way that he acted is inexcusable, period. End. No further discussion. He's trying to control the narrative, and I'm going to stand here and tell you, it may be only me. I doubt it. Maybe only me. I call bullshit. Now, I don't know if this guy, I'm about to bring somebody right into the fire here. And I have no idea if he's about to yell at me and tell me he thinks I'm being an idiot. But I think everything I'm saying, I'll stand by it. But let's bring in, not me, let's bring in the best of the Bay, because, you can probably count on that even more than me. How you doing, Ray?
I'm good, Rick. How are you tonight?
Good. I am good.
Well, I tell you what, it just goes to show it's good to know that AB's camp is at least rallying around him, and he's got those people that he needs to surround himself with, and it's the narrative that just won't die, and if it bleeds, it leads, and it didn't really bleed on Sunday evening. I mean, it led, but it didn't bleed, but it seems like it's starting to bleed as we get into Wednesday going into Thursday. But at this point, he's going to have to spin it. This is his career, his life. He wants to show. We all don't want to lose face, so we're going to say, we're going to put the facts down. But you said it, Rick. You said it so succinctly. There was no blue tent put up. There was no trainers notified. He wasn't sitting down. And again, we can say this, and it's been said so much on social media. He did not look to have a problem when he was tossing gear into the audience and tiptoeing through the end zone, throwing the peace sign to everybody. So, from that standpoint, right there, and then we see him at the Barclays Center or whatever it is that night at the Brooklyn Nets game. And, I'm not saying that a guy with a hurt ankle can't attend a basketball game, but it seems that if you're talking about possibly needing surgery, not needing surgery, it's an injury, 99.9% of the NFL, first of all, they wouldn't have put themselves into this position, but secondly, they'd be, under lock and key, probably seeing a specialist. And I think as a agent or a handler, I'd say the last thing you want to do is appear on that, be showing up at a Brooklyn Nets game with a pair of glasses and a mask half on, looking like there's no care in the world. Hey, you're muted, Rick. Sorry.
With a rap song ready to go, right? Just ready to press the button. And before the game, if you saw when everybody's huddling in the center of the field, AB's off by himself, wandering away from the rest of the entire team. I mean, and what player have you ever seen, ever, just sit on the sidelines and wait for someone to come to him and say, go in. Nah, I'm hurt. And then just sit there. No, that's not how it works. Everybody knows it. AB knows it. He's always played that differently. Every single player knows you don't just sit on the sidelines and then wait for someone to come talk to you. If you're hurting, you say something about it to the training staff. And then when he says, BA says he didn't know anything about my ankle. That's not what BA was saying, and every freaking person knows it. And this is how you play word games.
Yes.
Of course, AB knew he had ankle issues. He'd been out for games. He'd been missing games. There'd been a lot of things happening. And when the training staff had cleared him, now he's got this entire narrative.
Well, and the thing about it is, Rick, at the end of the day, this time of the season, going, week 17, going into week 18, there's not a player in the league on a team that's not playing some type of injured. And I'm not going to try to compare an injury like with last year when Chris Godwin's going in there with a pinned up, finger.
Right.
He had fingers inserted, or players are wrapping and taping and stuff like that. The thing about it is though, this statement coming out and continuing the narrative, on the one hand, I'm like, get yourself right, AB, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into the whole minutia of how selfish this guy is, going back to when he didn't even get the first class at FIU. And over the years, you, Dave Whitescarver, myself, and Matt, we covered this pretty good last night. You did so succinctly there on Buck AF. But the thing about it is now, you talk about a rallying point. The national media trying to say the Bucs are trying to let him down, this and that, but more, if there's any rallying to be done from this, it's probably from the team is just going to realize that, get right, AB, do the statement, release it in the daytime, keep it low key, don't release the rap video. But now doing stuff like this, releasing the video at night and making it, as big as possible, that is the most selfish thing of all, even more selfish than when he walked across the end zone in the third quarter at MetLife Stadium, because now he's continuing to put that national narrative. So when the Bucs get, when they have their media session tomorrow, when they show up this weekend, when they're, getting ready to play the Panthers on Sunday there at 4:25 from Raymond James Stadium, obviously this is the first and foremost questions that everyone's going to lead with. But I like the fact that this veteran-led team, defending Super Bowl champion, not going to get caught up in this. If something were to happen, or if they were to lose to Carolina, or Sam Darnold plays out of his mind, then the narrative's going to be, wow, the Bucs must have been, really caught up in this whole, imbroglio. Yeah. But the thing about,
I don't know.
Metal.
Yeah.
That's an inside joke there between you and I, brother.
But let me bring another guy in here. Speaking of, you just mentioned him, David Whitescarver. How you doing, Dave? How are you?
I heard about the big news. Derrick Henry's going to play this week.
Oh, your microphone's not on.
I heard him.
I could hear him, but it's ambient mic. It's not.
Oh, I see. Oh, yeah.
Do I need to go out and come back in?
Yeah, I'll drop you out.
Okay.
I want to see if Dave takes his gear off again and starts throwing it into the stands again. That was fantastic last night. But
here's the deal. As I go through, and I'm going to pull this up again real quick here. As I went through the whole thing, but I want to go through this. I want to break it down real quick, step by step, just real fast. Okay. First, he says how he'd love to express his gratitude to the Bucs and fans and teammates, and then he goes on to rip all of them. Okay, so apparently he doesn't really want to express gratitude, and then and then it says, I make mistakes. Okay, that's great. Maybe we're getting somewhere, but then he says, I work on myself, and I have positive influences around me. All of this is great, but one thing I don't do is shy away from playing hard on the field. No one can accuse me of not giving it my all on every play. Well, hold on. There are some other football teams in your past, AB, that might have something to say about that.
I thought Dave? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought the big news was Derrick Henry was back and playing. It's interesting to me that we're wasting our time on yet another merry-go-round of Antonio Brown getting the spotlight for not taking any responsibility for his actions, for blaming everybody else, and for getting a legal team to get out there and trumpet his message. Derrick Henry's
not the
playing for
Palace.
Derrick Henry's playing for the Titans, and they can get the #1 seed. How about that? Even though they've lost to the Jags this year, to me that's a big story. Instead, Antonio Brown is dictating to the people covering the NFL that this is a big deal. Him being himself is a big deal.
Yeah. But guys, that entire thing that he wrote, that entire message, he accepted no responsibility at all. He was perfect. He was just sitting on the sidelines, being a good little citizen, minding his own business, just like a good little soldier. But his poor little ankle hurt. So as he sat there, he was, just minding his own little business. And that mean man, Coach Arians, came over and told him, "What's wrong with you?"
That's the most confusing. The most confusing part about this is that just AB is just not the kind of guy that would not accept responsibility for his actions, which obviously, I mean, the opposite. But, one thing we really haven't talked about, maybe we talked about this last night, but it all goes back to me. I believe it was Mike Evans. It could have been Coach Arians. The quote wasn't, it wasn't given to either person, but I think it was Mike Evans when he was trying to calm him down. And he said that he looked in his eyes and he saw a look that he hadn't seen in years. Now, that makes me think it was Bruce Arians, because, of course, Bruce Arians was the offensive coordinator with Pittsburgh when AB was back there playing in a day. But that moment right there, he had that look in his eyes, and maybe we've all been there ourselves. I mean, Lord knows we've all been pushed to the brink at some point or another, but we've seen a friend or somebody where
I never have.
Oh, I'm sure you haven't, Dave. But we've seen them where they get that look in their eyes, and you realize that they've already did early checkout. The bill's already been paid. The room's already getting cleaned. You're already out. That's the part, Dave. I think you're right. Is that we can't believe this is still news, but because he makes this statement tonight, and because there's a few Buccaneers that are probably at home tonight, they should be getting sleep, getting ready for tomorrow's walkthrough. But instead, they're looking at this, and I think that maybe Antonio Brown's camp is possibly going to look to try to move to. I was so close to those incentives, that extra $1 million. I only needed 100 yards receiving and 10 passes or whatever, and I was not allowed to do that. And possibly there's some type of litigation moving forward. And here's the thing, in a court of law, you're not going to take into account any of the history. You're not going to take into account any of the things that have happened before between AB or any of his teams or anyone else. And so possibly, it's maybe a good move for him to be doing this, because Lord knows, I don't think this is going to get him onto another squad in the National Football League anytime soon. Right. That's for sure.
Well, the thing is this, it's obvious. Look, he's not going to win this ultimately. There are too many witnesses around who heard the whole thing. Even Bruce Arians on the sideline saying to him during the confrontation, "I'll get you your incentives. Don't worry, you'll get your incentives." On the sidelines, that being told to him. So he was not saying, "Don't play me." Okay? And there are all kinds of witnesses. So honestly, AB knows full well he's not going to win this in some court or whatever. He's not trying to win this in court. He's not trying to win this legally. I'm sure he's not trying to get his $1 million of incentives. I'm sure what he's trying to do is win the court of public opinion. He's trying to keep that group of people, and I've already told you guys, there is a group of people that no matter what is said, no matter what happens, no matter how ridiculous or ludicrous or just asinine, whatever AB's side is, there's a group that's going to embrace it and is going to say, "Yeah, I'm all about that. Look at that bad Bruce Arians. Look at that bad football team." And forget the fact that half the rest of the team is coming going, "Yeah, that's not what happened." That's not going to matter.
Rick, the thing is, the last 3 days, the narrative has been, and I think rightly so, it's been placed on the mental aspect of it, and the fact that you don't know CTE until someone's passed, and we saw it just recently with Vincent Jackson, and they found out, they come back and they said it was level 2 chronic traumatic encephalopathy. So the thing about it is for the last 3 days, the entire narrative has been, if he needs help, he should get help. The Bucs should give him help, and Tom Brady only used him for what he needed, which was a completely BS narrative to boot. I mean, Tom Brady knows to bring in cats that can make the team better, but Tom also cared about that guy, and he said so, he said as such in the post game. And Bruce Arians, Lord knows that guy wears his heart on his sleeve for his players. But don't forget, and this is the part that gets me, Bruce Arians, going back to his days when he first starts off in coaching as an assistant on the Alabama staff under Bear Bryant, and he still has that picture of Bear Bryant in his office. And Bear Bryant and Bruce Arians lives by that creed: coach him hard and hug him later.
Yeah.
And Antonio didn't even get a chance to let Bruce Arians get a chance to hug him hard, and he sure as heck's now not going to get a chance to hug him later because Antonio just continues to burn those bridges.
Well, the thing is, this is the funny part. You watched people try to keep him on the sidelines. He did not get his entire statement that I read was that he got cut right there on the sidelines. They didn't want him there. You watched with your own freaking almost
easy.
Hey,
freaking eyes.
Settle him down, Dave.
You watched players try to keep him there. You watched it. You saw players trying to keep him there. And he turned around and left anyway. There was nobody saying, go, you're out of here. Okay? You watched them try to get him to stay, and he chose to leave. And now he's saying, oh, well, I thought I got cut. I thought he cut me. I thought I was supposed to leave.
And you guys do know the standing rule in the National Football League is if you do get cut during a game on a sideline, you do have to take the uniform off before you leave the field.
Well, he said he wasn't going to wear the brand on his body anymore.
Okay, Mr. Big Chest.
Right.
Who do you think you are?
Right.
It's just, the thing is releasing this statement, and here's the thing. You don't get to be a wide receiver one in the National Football. And look at Jamar Chase this week. Jamar Chase, phenomenal rookie, playing with Cincinnati Bengals. Great, rejoins with Joe Burrow from their days at LSU. And of course, I'm sure it wasn't in this exact context, but they asked him after the game about his chances to be offensive rookie of the year. And he says, well, I better win offensive rookie of the year. And I'm thinking, yeah, it's not just the way you do it. You got to have a hat in hand. You got to be a little bit, and the thing is, but that's what wide receiver ones do. Not all of them can be Jerry Rice, or not all of them can be Isaac Bruce, or not all of them can be. And the thing is by their very nature, they are, I hate to use the word drama queens, but kind of what gets them there.
Chris Godwin's like the only exception.
100%.
He's the only guy I've ever seen who just, you never see drama on the field or off the field from him. Like Mike Evans, you'll see him crying. You'll see him making a little bit of a scene. You'll see him doing stuff. He's got a little bit of that in him, even though he's such a great guy, supposedly one of the nicest guys in the NFL. But you do see him complaining to the referees and stomping his feet around, and every game he's hurting something. I don't know. But I mean, you always see that. Yes, that's the nature of a wide receiver one, but not this. And let me say this. I'm sick of the narrative of the whole CTE thing. First of all, he's never been diagnosed with it, okay? So everybody who's sitting here calling it that, everybody who's automatically saying, well, this is CTE, was he born with it? Because he's acted out since high school, okay? So stop being a Facebook neurologist. Stop being a Twitter neurologist. Stop acting like you're an expert when it comes to this stuff. None of us know that he has CTE. All right? It can't be diagnosed until you're dead. So, no, he's not been diagnosed with CTE. Does he have it? Well, could be.
The people that want to see this go away the most is the National Football League, and I'll tell you why. It took them 20 years and case after case after case after case of players that did have issues, a la a Junior Seau, or a la, offensive lineman centers for the Pittsburgh Steelers who end up driving down a highway at 80 miles an hour and then, hate to use the term so graphically, but it's after 10 o'clock, end up putting a gun to their head.
Right.
The thing about it is that the National Football League, it's if you start talking about concussions and you start talking about maybe possible type of injuries that would cause, issues with neurology or with the thing about it is that, it's kind of one of those things where the National Football League continues to continues to put on a forefront rule changes to try to take away a little bit of the, but this is what football is. You know, it's hitting, it's getting hit. It's the very nature of the game. Like it or not, it happens. And nobody, and Rick, I'm not saying we've diagnosed him with CTE. I'm just saying that that's the reason why people try to explain that all of a sudden. Why would a cat that has played in a league long enough and has a pretty good career, other than the off the field stuff, suddenly decide to strip his uniform to the sideline and then dance through the end zone throwing deuces?
Weird. He's done this stuff since high school.
But not on the football, not on the football team. I mean, you know, Odell Beckham Jr.
not
gets
this exact specific thing.
No, he got into it with Mike Mayock and was fined $215,000 by the Raiders. He got suspended the last game. He was benched. Rob,
who says, guys, I don't like AB, but your bias is showing. My common sense is showing. Look at the accusations he's making, and what did you see with your own damn eyes?
Go back to the Carolina game. He had 10 catches for over 100 yards. He was targeted 15 times. He looked pretty good.
No complaints then.
He had no pain skipping through the end zone, jumping up and down, trying to get all the attention he possibly could. He looked pretty good there.
What did he say?
See his ankle causing him a problem.
Uber driver. What did he say to the Uber driver afterwards that picked him up? What did he say? They brought that guy on. That guy says he was complaining that Gronk was getting all the catches. And that's what we're going to end up finding out. He was complaining about on the sidelines.
Well, I don't think the Bucs will play into this. I don't think Mike Evans will play into this. I mean, they're going to say what they have to say. I like what Bruce Arians said when he's questioned again about the status of AB, and he says, look, it's in management's hands. I think that, you know, to try to get into this tit-to-tat, you know, back and forth with him, it serves no purpose. You know, like I said, I'm glad to see that AB's got a camp around him and some handlers that are, okay, let's do this. Let's release this statement. It's going to soften the damage for you a little bit, which is kind of ironic to say that. But I don't think the Buccaneers are going to start giving you the exact, because the thing about it is then you start tearing away the very fabric, or the thread of the fabric that, you know, caused it, that lets a team like the Buccaneers have that unity as they go for that second consecutive Lombardi trophy. I don't think the only person on this team that I think would get into that type of an argument or back and forth is the very person who's bringing it at the team, and that'd be AB himself.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and guys, for people to say things like, I mean, I get it. You're saying you don't know what was said. Well, you're correct. I don't know exactly what was said, but optics versus facts is what we have seen so far. The story is far from over. Listen, man, I know what AB said. I'm addressing what AB said. He released it through his people, through his attorney. We just went through the entire statement. Don't tell me I don't know what was said. I'm addressing what he said publicly and how it doesn't match up with what you saw with your own freaking eyes. He said, I was just sitting on the bench, minding my own business, and the coach came up and told me to play. And I said, but coach, my ankle hurts. And he said, get out there anyway.
Well, there's
a whole lot of more story where you saw you saw Mike Evans trying to talk him into not acting like that. There's more story to that where you saw OJ Howard trying to keep it from happening. You saw him prance off the field doing jumping jacks on the way out of the stadium.
I mean, dude,
if you're gonna in the freaking Uber saying that he wasn't getting enough passes.
If you're going to play the I was injured, and like I said, at this point in the season, there's not a player on any team in the NFL that's not nursing some type of an injury. But if you're going to do that, at least have a limp as you leave the field at MetLife. Don't cut through the end zone and walk in there.
If you got another opinion outside the team doctors and you are in extreme pain, don't suit up.
Yeah, and did Rick just contradict himself with the CTE comment? Come on, man. How did I contradict myself?
Rick, you're going to get into it like AB and the Bucs are. The thing about it is everyone has a feeling on this, but we're not contradicting. We're literally addressing the statement that was released tonight because it's news. It's Buccaneers news. It's national news. It's actually world news at this point. And sure, it's easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel to point out the inaccuracies of this entire thing. But at the same time, because it's news, we cover it because that's what BucsReport does. We're talking about it and giving everyone out there a chance to also make their let your comments be known. So do do it. Make some comments, but don't just make it about Ray's wrong about this, or did Rick just say about that, or is Dave going to take his shirt off again? Which, by the way, Dave, all right. But the thing about it is that it's easy enough to sit here and you guys want to come at us and try to put words, but don't put words in our mouth. I'm not diagnosing Antonio. I've done nothing but like that guy. I mean, other than the transgressions
all of us
off the
have
field.
stood up for him.
Yes.
The team stood up for him and tried to get him to stay on the sideline.
I wanted
The
him to be.
players
I
tried
wanted
to.
the Bucs to have 3,000-yard receivers, and before AB got out of the lineup, they were on par to do it. That's what I wanted. I wanted three. I wanted Evans, Godwin, and Antonio Brown to have 1,000-yard receiving seasons.
Yeah. I'll be honest, Rick, that what I wanted the most, guys, I wanted Antonio Brown to keep his stuff together for another season, or at least the end of this season, because again, the numbers spoke. I think that if he'd if he would have kept himself clean and just did the right thing, which at this point, honestly, like you said, Rick, throughout his entire lifetime since he's 15, I don't think that, history shows it probably wasn't possible, but I thought he was still working his way back into the Hall of Fame talk someday. And maybe someday the numbers will get beyond it, because we'll go, hey, he'll retire and he'll start a foundation. Maybe,
I did say I questioned him making it to the Hall because of his antics. I went on record and said that.
You're right. You're Dave. And the thing about it is, at the end of the day, like, players vote for players and coaches vote for coaches. And, this kid may have a third act where he actually finds charities that'll start accepting his money because they feel like they can do it without being put into a situation like the Bucs find themselves here on the 4th of January, 2022. But, judging on his body of work in the past, it doesn't seem highly likely. But, you continue to hope for the guy because he's a human being. It's not just about the contributions he can make on the field. We also care about the person in the uniform. Yes,
we get it. We all care about the guy. Okay. We get that. We've all been on his side the entire freaking year. Mm-hmm. Okay. We didn't leave him. We didn't run away from him. None of us ran away from him. He ran away from the team. Okay, it wasn't us. Now, you've got a history of AB acting a certain way. You've got a history of Bruce Arians, who's been a player's coach, been known as a player's coach his entire career. They haven't forced. They've not forced. Have you ever heard of any other Buccaneer come out and say, "Oh, they're forcing me to play when I don't want to"? You ever heard anything like that? But instead, you got a player who now, with the history that he's got, sitting on the sidelines saying, "My mean coach came up to me and told me I had to play," when he didn't go to the training staff. When have you ever seen a player who's injured on the side and can't play not go to the training staff? He didn't go to the training staff and say a word. Okay, guys, they're spinning a story. AB's trying to change the narrative. He's trying to control the narrative, or rather his attorney is. That's what attorneys do. Stop. Just stop and use your common freaking sense.
And Rick, don't forget the entire national media, the Dallas Cowboys media, the Kansas City Chiefs media, the Green Bay Packers media. And I'm not meaning to, they're all going to run with this story. And why? Because anything that can possibly cause a fissure or a crack in the strong front that the Buccaneers, and again, this has probably been one of the most, one of the most joining things that have happened to this team in quite a while. But
that's what I think.
Hey, if the media had their way, they would have Tom staying up all night, chewing on his fingernails, worrying about how this narrative gets spun. Well, here's the thing: at the end of the day, guys and girls, Tom's not wired like that. He cares. He's already said what he said about that guy, and he would probably go out of his way in the future to try to help. He might even send Guerrero over there and give the kid a massage, try to get him on the right track. But at the end of the day, this is not the kind of thing. Hey, this is not the kind of thing that's going to tear them down. But the national media is going to do it because it causes A, drama, 2, it sells tickets, and 3, maybe, just maybe, they can continue to put the Buccaneers under the microscope of this issue instead of focusing on what really counts, and that is the performance on the field.
But anybody trying to act like this is, poor AB, come on.
How many times does he have to do it?
Right.
I mean, go ask New England. I mean, the Bucs are the big winners because New England, he played 1 week, they got rid of him because he was being accused of sexual assault. So he spent a grand total of 1 game with them.
Mike
He
Mayock
never played for the Raiders. The
Mike
Bucs got a
Mayock almost
season,
beat up, yeah.
almost 2 seasons out of him and won a Super Bowl. They're the big winners, if you
And let
want
me
to look
get
at
this-
it that way.
Let me get this right. Bruce Arians is supposed to walk the line to keep Antonio Brown getting into games so he can reach those what were very easily attainable numbers to get that extra $1 million bonus, because he signed a team friendly deal to be here, and a good solid year. He probably could have gotten a nice free agent 1 or 2 year next year, because he continues to show that he's got the talent on the field. But then he does this, he walks off the field, and now what's he thinking? Well, I still want to try to get that $3 to $5 million next year. I still would love to have it. And you know what? There's still going to be a few teams that are going to look at him because he still has the talent. And look at that. Now he's posing an argument that, maybe someone who wasn't of the right sound mind and body wouldn't be able to pose this argument. So at the end of the day, Antonio Brown is just taking care of Antonio Brown. But selfishly, he's kind of bringing the Bucs down with him.
Well, he's trying to, but I think the way this plays itself out is this is the rallying cry in the locker room. Look at it's us against the world, boys. That's what they're saying in the locker room.
Well, here's my question, and I don't know the answer to it, and see what your gentlemen's thoughts are. How do the Bucs? They haven't cut him, but how do they get rid of him?
Well, first you don't have to. First,
you
don't have to. Why do you have to?
How do we get rid of the influence and any ties to Antonio Brown being on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
First of all, you just leave him where he is right now. Okay? You leave him where he is. You make him inactive. He's not part of the active roster. You don't have to do anything. And by the way, my initial concerns where I was wrong is thinking, oh no, somebody's going to pick him up. Well, the thing is this. AB sort of threw a wrench into that whole thing today by saying, look at how bad my ankle is.
Right.
Well, now nobody's going to pick him up. Okay.
But he's maneuvering for that injury settlement, or he's maneuvering for that, whatever it may be, which would carry him the rest of the season. And again, it possibly puts him in a situation where going into 2022 season, come this free agency offseason, that there's going to be a few teams that are going to, maybe a Trevor Lawrence could use a nice deep threat in an Antonio Brown. But then the thing about it is, and don't forget this, I'll pose this now, guys. Here, after 10 p.m. on a Wednesday night here, again on the 4th of January, 2022, all the people, the media, all the talking heads out there that are saying the Bucs used somebody who was possibly and not of their sound mind and body, or possibly was showing signs of having some type of a mental issue. And I think we all still agree that may be or may not be the case. That they're going to go to all those people that have said the Buccaneers were being advantageous and just trying to use him, and they used him to get Super Bowl 55. They're going to have to eat those words if there's a team out there that's looking to bring him in next year, because it's a vicious cycle and it continues to spin. So, at the end of the day, it's like a dog chasing its tail. This story, it doesn't have an ending. It really doesn't. It's just a dog chasing its tail. And I can sit and watch a dog chase his tail for an hour. Eventually he's going to catch it. But you know what I'm saying, guys.
Yeah, but there's just the thing is, whether he gets picked up by somebody next year or not, look, that's next year. Right now, look, AB's done. He's not going to be on the Bucs next year. I'm not worried about next year. What do you do with him now? You just stick him off to the side, and you just don't do anything.
The Deshaun Watson deal. Here, you go. You just
right,
go
you go sit over there for now. Right, that's what you do. And
his statement puts him right on the IR. I mean, his statement basically says, I am ripe and eligible for the injured reserve. And that basically that shelves him for the next 4 weeks. And then if he's healthy for the championship game in Green Bay, we bring him. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Because we want to get that second consecutive. No, I'm just kidding. But the thing about it is that really at the end of the day, it still comes back, whether it be because of the fact that nobody's had the nerve to stand up to him, because in high school down in Miami, he was the most phenomenal receiver. And then, at the 17 colleges he went to and burnt the bridges to, he was still in Central Michigan, phenomenal receiver. And in the NFL, nobody's maybe had to, it's not so much that nobody's been brave enough to stand up to him. It's just the fact that most of the time in the teams he's been on or the situations he's been in, people are like, but he's so talented. So let's figure out a way to make this work. But all of a sudden in the last couple of days, you've seen in national media, Bruce Arians is the devil. and Tom Brady will do whatever it takes to get a Super Bowl. Well,
I don't know that I hear that much from the national media.
oh, I have. I've been all over. And, mostly, especially on SI and ESPN.com, it's mostly people that when I've dug back into some of their previous stories, some of their national media, they've usually ripped Tom Brady going back to 2015, 2016. They ripped Tom with Deflategate. They ripped Tom with this because the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, as much as they'll always say that he is the greatest of all time, statistically speaking wise anyway, they also look for any chance they can possibly, try to break down that wall a little bit. Yeah. Maybe they're trying to make him look human. Maybe they're not. But the thing about it is again, if it bleeds, it leads. This one's bleeding, so they're leading with it.
Well, and the thing is this. Look, it's a story. Are they going to say, look, this is what's funny. In one defense, you've got the national media that you're talking about that's saying, "Oh boy, they're just trying to take advantage of this poor guy with emotional and mental issues," right? And then the other crew is going, "Oh, look at them! They're just trying to take advantage of this poor guy with ankle issues."
Nope. Right? Put him back in there, being mean, trying to make him play,
telling him to play. Okay. And in the meantime, you got AB, who was on the sidelines, and everybody keeps forgetting this, who was not on the sidelines saying, "Don't play me." Arians actually said to him, "Don't worry, we'll get you your incentives."
Right.
You've got Mike Evans saying, "Don't go, man. Don't do this. This is not the right move. Don't do it. Stop, stop, stop." Off with the jersey. There he goes. Before the game ever started, AB, the entire team's gathered at on the field together in a huddle, and AB's off by himself. It was already happening.
Well, that's the part that starts to go back to the whole issues, neurologically speaking, is because whether he was red backside because, Cyril Grayson had most of the reps in practice or Antonio, but, he comes out in that game and I don't know if you guys noticed it, but he was really strong that first half of that game as far as a few of those catches. He was running some routes. He made that DB look like he was
awesome. Though the clip AB posted showing him juking the defender. Yeah.
But did you notice that he did this? He did the finger across the nose. Now, I don't know exactly what that means in parlay or in terms of football, but something told me that he was probably getting some ribbon from the fans there at MetLife Stadium about.
Oh, and he's out. I guess his battery died.
It happens.
It happens. But guys, I mean, we sat. It's this simple when you. Oh, okay, hold on. He's back.
His battery got better.
No, it's just my phone. But the thing is that Antonio did the nose thing like a sniffle. And right then and there, it was the first quarter. On the second catch of the game, I thought to myself, oh, he must be getting some ribbon because there's probably, because the fans, and we do that. The fans are going, oh, Antonio, COVID. So Antonio got that big catch and did the sniffle. He was already kind of showing an aggressive nature as it was, which, a lot of times he is aggressive. It's how he plays. But, there were a cascading amount of events happening, like you said, Rick, with being away from the team and doing the thing with the nose, and it's just a shame because at the end of the day, and I can say this just from people here, feet on the ground, boots on the ground here in Tampa Bay, there's more care for this kid than anything else. We're not mad that we don't have that talent going to the Super Bowl. I mean, would you like to have it?
Wanted him to stay.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, we'd want him to stay just because we wanted him to continue doing as well he's been doing in the last year and a half. And, he made it impossible. He made himself unhuggable.
Well, the thing is, everybody was trying to get him to stay. You watched it with your own eyes. All right. He chose to leave. All right. Now we got to try and spin the narrative. We got to try and come up with whatever we got to do. We got to say what we got to say, and let's change the story. And even though there's entire histories of AB, you have to ignore that. You have to ignore the entire history of Bruce Arians being a player's coach and all the people loving him. You got to ignore that. You got to forget the fact that AB loved him some Tom Brady and talked on and on and on about how much he loves him some Tom Brady. But now everybody's saying Tom Brady's the bad guy, right? You're talking about people saying that. They forget the fact that AB's been saying Tom Brady's been the good guy this entire time. Okay. Forget that history. Forget all the history that we've got. This was different. This was just the only time ever that AB was the one using common sense and was thinking straight, and everybody else was out of line. And none of this was his fault. None of it was his fault.
That's why he had to
Zero.
get out of here. That's why he had to get out of there, because there were 77 people on that sideline that were cuckoo, and Antonio Brown, he had to remove himself from the situation because, you know, you can't when you're in the right like he was. And I think we all agree. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to go there. But you know, the thing about it is that releasing the statement coming out the way it does now and everything, I get it, spin control. I get it. You're trying to, but the thing about
you're
it
trying
is
to control the narrative. It's what every attorney does.
Exactly.
Yeah, and I mean, but the thing is this: to say, to play the whole, I didn't. The only reason I left is I was cut. The problem with that is we all watched people try and tell you to stay. And you got up and left.
I have no doubt that Bruce Arians, again, let me repeat, coach him hard and hug him later. And Bruce Arians, I have no doubt, and I don't mean to put words in coach's mouth, but I have no doubt that he said, get your ass out of here. He didn't mean strip down and dance across the field and throw merch and then be outside the stadium with your suitcase waiting for an Uber. I think, but he meant get out of my face, get out of here, quit, you're done for the day. And Antonio Brown probably all of a sudden realized, I don't want to do probablys. It's too easy to do that. But I'm just saying that, the thing is, I have no doubt that Arians didn't handle him with kid and glove. Because coach, that's why you go to the trainer. That's why you get the blue tent up. That's why you don't go to the head ball coach. He's got other stuff on his mind.
Right. You don't just sit on the sidelines and wait for somebody to come to you if you're hurting.
No, that's why they got trainers.
Name any other player ever you know that's done that. They just sit on the sidelines and wait until someone comes to them and you go, oh, no, wait, I can't do this because I'm in pain.
Yeah. I got an MRI and it says it's really bad. Yeah. Well, why'd you suit up?
I have no doubt that the MRI is bad. Okay. I have no doubt that the MRI shows the damage. I have no doubt all of that. I'm not doubting AB at all when it comes to the fact that he's got a screwed up ankle. I have no doubt about that. I'm not arguing that. Okay. I'm not in the least arguing that. What I am saying is facts being facts. You've got a history. You literally have to ignore entire lifetimes of history and say, ignore the fact that he didn't go to the trainer, that he was just sitting according to his own story. AB was just sitting on the sidelines, minding his own business, being a good little citizen. And that mean coach came up to him and told him to get into the game. Said, what's wrong with you? And he goes, it's my ankle, coach.
Well, the thing is that he didn't have to go to, like you were saying, Dave, he didn't have to say he went and had the MRI. He didn't have to say that he just came from, the hospital. They rushed him by ambulance to make the game. To satisfy what he was doing with this statement, he could have just said, my ankle got hurt. Because the thing at the end of the day, not going to a trainer, not going to the blue tent, to blow up on a sideline, leaving the way he did. It's never gonna. We're never. The public. Well, at least the public that actually has their. That actually has the truest intentions on the board, which is just to report the facts as they are. They're never gonna say, well, maybe AB was right. But for him to put frosting on it by saying, I just. I have an MRI. I shouldn't have been there. I think you guys, us here in the room, and everybody out there, guys and girls here on BucsReport that are watching, I think we're all smart enough to realize the money these cats are played and the situation, the reason why they have MRIs in the stadiums and surgeons on the sidelines and professional doctors on call at all times during practice and games is so that when there are these situations, they can evaluate right then and there and they can figure out the best course of action. So, saying that I had an MRI it's like saying, it's just
the next day.
Yeah, no. Oh, the next day. But my point is
now he's saying all of a sudden, I ran and got the MRI. Well, I'm sure you did. At that point, you're like, all right, I got to I got to get a hold of this story.
Yeah, that's why they've been silent for days, plotting their spin.
It worked on the COVID though, didn't it? I mean, he gave the fake vaccination card, but afterwards he ran and got the vaccination. So it worked in that situation. So maybe it'll work here too.
Right. And that's a great point, Ray. That's exactly what he did. He did the exact same thing. Here's a guy who, again, he lied about the vaccine card. This is not like the coach was already feeling warm and fuzzies about him. Yeah, I'm sure the coach was already pissed. And now you guys are like, how dare him be pissed at him? Really? It's not like AB didn't tee this whole thing up already. And then to walk away from the team when they're huddling up and do your own thing off to the side and not be with the rest of the team. There's nothing about AB.
Although, Rick,
and this little special show we're doing right now, this little, let's talk about, and I read the whole statement. I read every bit of straight from AB's attorney. I read the entire statement. Okay. And you literally have to say, okay, forget what I watched. Forget the fact that I watched people try to convince him to stay. AB's story is, I thought I was supposed to leave. Though you watched people saying, what are you doing? Stop it, stop it, stop it. Mike Evans saying, stop what you're doing. Finally, Mike Evans, you see him just go, fine.
Well, because he saw it. He saw in the eyes that, the AB that has been there since the, ninth game of the 2020 season wasn't there. That AB checked out. He saw it in his eyes. But I will say this in Antonio Brown's defense. Just look at the long list of players, former players that have played for Coach Arians that have nothing but bad things to say about him. Oh, wait a minute. There is no list. There is no list. Going back to Temple in 1985, going back to, in fact, half the coaching staff were former players that played for him because they know the exact type of character that he is. They know the exact type of person and family person that he is and how he cares about his players and cares about his coaches. His
whole reputation is being a player's coach.
Yeah, that was the worst part of this whole deal for me was that after AB went to bat, and people are going to say, well, he said he doesn't give a shit because it's all about getting it. No, he said it because Antonio Brown had been an exemplary citizen for the last 16 months, and he really was towing the line. And I think people realized, how
he stood up for him.
He stood up for him, and then just a week later is when he did that to him, and now he's even going further, saying he was forcing me to play injured, and it's just like, what's it going to be next that, that he tried to move furniture out of his house and that's why AB hit him, or, that coach was giving him a massage and coach pulled the towel off. I mean, it could go all night. I mean, the thing about it is that at the end of the day, I don't think this team's going to let this affect them, but the national media, they're going to be running with this thing like a Boston Marathon because
I think it's going to affect in a positive way. This is the galvanizing moment. This is, if you're a player, I'm not talking about us. I'm not talking about the media. I'm not talking about us fans. I'm not talking about, the all of us, randos and on Facebook and Twitter that are making whatever idiot comments we think we're, all of a sudden experts when it comes to body language, when it comes to neurology, when it comes to, all of this. No. I'm talking the players in the locker room with no one else around. Right now, they're looking and going, you realize what's happening out there, folks? Nobody's out there looking out for us. Nobody's out there saying, what about us?
Mm-hmm.
It's us against the world.
And here's the thing, guys. 20 years, 7 Super Bowls, how many AFC and then an NFC championship game? Tom Brady's been through this. He's been on this field of war. He's going to be able to let the guys in the room. And the more the national media want, the more that your Skip Baylesses or your whomevers are going to try to run with this, and they're going to try to paint the Buccaneers and Bruce Arians and Jason Light and Tom Brady as much as they're going to try to paint them as selfish, Lombardi hoarding, miscreants, if you will. Tom Brady is going to take it, and he's going to take that negative energy like he's done his entire career, and he's going to turn it around, and it's going to be galvanizing for this team. So the national media, y'all can run with this, and it's going to be the lead tomorrow morning on Today's Show. It's going to be on Good Morning Football. But the thing about it is that this team, led by Tom Brady, who's been through this grinder more than a few times, he's going to know how to show these kids how to take this thing and how to make it to like you said, motivate.
I'm not a fan of Skip and Shannon. Okay. but I don't know if you had a chance to hear them at all.
No, I didn't.
Okay. They basically ripped AB a new one. Okay.
Okay.
They basically said, and this was my favorite part of all of, I think what I heard was, I think it was Shannon Sharp that mentioned the fact that, you know what, after on the sidelines, gosh, and if dude is out there, dude, please come on here and help me out with making sure I'm telling this story correctly. But one of the two, Skip or Shannon, was talking about how they had people that are, sources from within the sideline that were on the sideline, heard the whole thing, and that basically AB went up to Tom and said, "Oh, so now you're throwing to your boy Gronk again, huh?" Instead of him. He was complaining that he wasn't getting the ball enough. And so he was complaining on the sidelines that he wasn't getting the ball enough. And finally, Tom turned and said, "Yes, fine, I'm throwing to Gronk." And that's when things went bad from that perspective. Okay. Now, I don't know if that happened. I have no idea if that happened. But what I noticed is this, this is what I think it was Shannon Sharp said, and I thought it was brilliant, is what happened on that last drive. Tom Brady was laser focused on who?
Cyril Grayson.
The guy that replaced AB.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay. And it was like a message being sent to AB, right? He wasn't throwing to Gronk. He wasn't throwing it to other people. He was focused hardcore. He was driven. He was on a mission. And that's why I say this is the galvanizing moment, guys. That's why I say that at the end of the year, everybody's going to look back here and these players are going to go, you know what? All of you are talking about us and saying this and blah, 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 blah. Look, it doesn't even have to be true. Players lie to themselves all the time to build a narrative to get themselves jacked up and motivated. Okay.
Right.
This is your moment. This is your moment.
Yeah.
Well, I hope Cyril Grayson will be there when the pressure's on in the playoffs and you're fighting for a championship.
But you know what? You're going to have Brett Perryman back.
For sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
You've got other people who are going to be
Tyler
there.
Johnson, you're going to have, and Mike Evans going to continue getting that hammy right.
Leonard
Fournette
will be
back in there. Yeah, they're going to – and you know what, Rick? I apologize. I didn't know we were going live tonight, and my phone is down to 2%.
Okay.
So
I didn't either. So
no, brother, I thank you for having me. So
yeah.
I just want to – I'm going to go ahead and save the rest of my battery here and watch you and Dave continue to keep this plane up in the air. But, again, guys and girls out there, just please remember, let me reiterate again. Yeah. Nobody comes on here with the intention on poo-pooing on Antonio Brown. Nobody. That guy's going to forever. Well, he's going to forever be a very important part of that 2020 championship. He was a very important part of that Super Bowl 55 championship. You just want to see him get right, no matter what the problem is. But the fact that he's coming back at the team again, it's not doing him any justice. It's not a good picture, AB. Stop. Make your point. Make yourself valuable. Whatever you got to do to, make things right with you. As far as with this team and with the entire National Football League, it's going to take a lot more than just a couple of statements from an attorney.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Ray.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, Dave.
Great to see you, Ray.
Good to see you, Dave.
Does anybody think it's a coincidence that AB had ready to go at the press of a button a brand new rap song? Does anybody think that had nothing to do with this? Does anybody think that's just a coincidence? What a coinkydink. He just happened to have a rap song ready to go. All he had to do was press, oh, okay, release. Oh, what? You think he walked out of the stadium and went, oh, I got an idea?
What am I going to do now?
Right.
I haven't thought this through.
Right. He had it ready to go. This was orchestrated on his part. Come on, guys. We've got a history of AB. We've got a history of BA. We've got a history of the team itself. And they hadn't made him play for weeks prior.
They certainly didn't rush him back.
Part of that was, I understand, part of that was because he got suspended for lying. But now he's being truthful. Okay? This time he's totally telling the truth. That other time, forget that. Okay.
Hey, today's Wednesday. He's truthful on Wednesdays.
Come on. Come on. So, I mean, guys, it's silliness. It's just absolute asinine silliness, his statement. I read the entire statement. I'm not going to go through the whole thing again, but I will tell you there's so much pure, unadulterated, lawyer up bullshit in that statement that it's staggering. And the fact of the matter is, if you argue in favor of that statement, you literally have to say, yeah, forget what all of us saw. Forget what we all watched and saw with our own eyes. I believe AB, not my own eyes, not what everybody else saw. I believe AB. And the same people who are saying that, oh, no, his ankle was hurt and that's why he couldn't play are probably the same people who were saying, oh, they weren't letting him play enough because of his incentive. It's probably the same group of folks. Okay, you were believing they wanted him to play, but he couldn't because of his ankle. And you also believe they weren't letting him play because they wanted to keep him from getting his incentives.
Right. The Bucs were wrong. AB wasn't.
What's
He's
that?
never wrong. The Bucs were wrong.
Yes, he never did a thing. He wasn't. There was no problem with his. What is it? When he was asked about the vaccine card, what was his response? You guys you're all drama. That's what he said. You're all drama. Let's talk football. He said that a week before this. He's full of crap all the time. It's not a matter. Look, I don't believe anything and everything the team says. I've been very critical of the team in the past. I've been very critical of players. I've been very critical of coaches. I've been very critical of Bruce Arians in coaching sometimes. When it comes to his lack of desire to commit to the run. I've been critical. I'm more than willing to be critical when it needs to happen. Okay? But really, you're giving me a choice. Do I believe what we all watched and what we all witnessed? The guy that ran off the field, ripped off his clothes, did jumping jacks, peace out, ran off the field, prancing away, and then got in a car and said, I'm mad that Gronk's getting all of the catches, all the throws, and I'm not getting them. Okay, do I believe that guy?
And then go to
or do I believe what the lawyer said? Really? Really? Do I believe all of his history and all of Bruce Arians' history? Or do I believe what AB said himself immediately after the game? Or do I believe the lawyer's official statement? Come on. You're not that naive. Jackasses just revealed themselves as jackasses sometimes. He kept it together for a year and a half. More than that. We got a Super Bowl out of the guy. Thank you for your service.
Bucs are the
we couldn't have made it till the end of this year. Idiot. All right, guys. I was only going to do this for half an hour, but I had a good time. Between YouTube and but I think between YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook, it'll be interesting to see if many of y'all paid much attention to this. It looks like, when you add all the numbers together, we've been doing pretty good here tonight. But guys, I got to work tomorrow, and my voice is pretty much shot. I've been down for the count for a week with COVID, and I had no intention on even being here tonight. But surprise, here we go.
I found out while I was grocery shopping.
Yeah. So guys, by the way, Tim Witherspoon just brought up any thoughts on T.O. reaching out to the Bucs for a job.
Yes, I have a thought.
I do too.
No.
Hell no. Okay. No, 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 to quote AB's attorney. You know, I mean, there's just no way in the world you want to even remotely consider or think about bringing that clown show in right on the heels of the other clown show that's now not going to be around.
Canton,
So-
Ohio's not good enough for him.
Right. So anyway, guys, it is what it is. I've had a good time here tonight. Dave, you and I will be back on the post game show.
425. It's been moved to flex.
Yeah, 425 game, not a 1:00 game. Everybody know that. Dave, any thoughts? Anything? I've been ranting and raving like a lunatic, or like TO, or I mean, like TO or AB or whatever. I've been having a good old time tonight going at it. Well, you got any thoughts? You got anything you want to add to this?
Yeah, the Bucs are going to go for win number 13, something they've never done in their franchise's history. I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to the team getting healthy. I'm looking forward to a home playoff game. I'm rooting for San Francisco and for Philadelphia this week, so the Bucs can move up a spot or two. That's what I'm looking forward to.
That's right.
That's what's important to me. And go Bucs.
Awesome. Thank you for being here, and I will see you on Sunday after the game, Dave.
Sounds good. Looking forward to it.
All right, guys. Thank you for coming by. What a little clown show we have to endure right now. It's kind of fun. At the same time, it's kind of sad, and at the same time, it's kind of funny, and at the same time, it's kind of concerning, and at the same time, it's a little bit exciting. So all of that stuff can be true at the same time. Guys, I'm glad you came here tonight. Had a fun time talking about the ridiculousness that came out of AB's camp tonight. And you know, I'm going to end this the way I always do because it's the only freaking thing that matters. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. See you Sunday.